Hello, welcome. My name is Dallas. I'm one of the enrollment advisors here at Coder Academy. Just going to hold off just for a couple of moments for a few more people to roll in before we get started. Alrighty, cool. So once again, my name is Dallas. I am one of the enrollment advisors here at Coder Academy, and today we're going to have a bit of a chat about some of the coding boot camps we have coming up and what they're all about. And we've also got a couple of guest speakers. Some past grads are going to come and have a bit of a chat with us, and give a little bit of a presentation and talk about their sort of experience and where they're at now. It's going to be a bit of fun. So let's jump right on into it. Cool. So Coder Academy, where coders are made. So in the spirit of reconciliation, Coder Academy acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. So this is myself and Lee Harrison, both enrollment advisors. You probably have spoken to one of us, or if you haven't, you're definitely going to be talking to us soon because we love a chat. But yeah, we're the ones you want to talk to if you want to learn a little bit more about what we have on offer for our coding boot camps. Lee, let's get you to jump on in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for sharing your Thursday evening with us. Just a couple of things about the live chat, which is where I'm going to be living for the majority of our session. If you wish to put a question into the live chat, we very much recommend that you do. Please type it firstly into the chat section of the screen, not in the Q&A section. So firstly, chat. When you're in the chat, make sure that that to section at the bottom is toggled to say everyone so that we can all see which questions have been asked, and then we don't really have any double ups. Throughout the session, so throughout the boys talking about their the day in the life of what they're actually up to at the moment in the industry, and through what Dallas will be presenting, feel free to put any questions in the chat. Some of them I'll answer during the session, and others I will keep and collect until the end because we'll be having a Q&A session at the end. So if you have specific questions for our guests, just write their name and then your question, and I'll keep them until the end, and we can ask them a whole bunch of great questions and, yeah, really get the best out of this session. So that's really it from me. Generally speaking, we get to every single question in the time. If I miss you, it would only be because your question is really long and complicated and perhaps I don't have the answer at hand. But if that's the case, we get back to you as quickly as possible with an answer anyway. All right, that's me done. I will see you all on the live chat, and back to you, Dallas.
Cool. Thank you so much, Lee. Awesome. Hopefully everyone understood that. And away we go. So who are our grads? We've got Sonny Peterson here, full stack web development at Tourism Media. And we've got Stephen Smith, also a full stack web developer at Swift Fox. A little bit more on those guys real soon. Hello, Stephen. Cool. Here comes Sonny. G'day.
G'day.
Sweet. Cool. We'll get these guys on for a bit more of a chat real soon. First, we're just going to go through a few things, just some fundamentals about the coding bootcamp so that everyone's on the same page. So why learn to code? Look, there is honestly so many reasons. I'll just say, full stack web development is, one of the more sought after development roles in the industry right now. There is a shortage of developers in Australia, junior or otherwise. You can do a coding bootcamp with us in 6 or 10 months and walk out the other end as a junior full stack web developer and, gain employment straight away with the skill set you have. Okay. Our courses are accredited, which is fantastic. If you really wanted to, you could go on to uni afterwards and complete a degree and get credit for what you've done with us because, what we deliver are university level subjects, but ultimately you don't need to do that. You can sort of, break into the industry a lot faster by doing a bootcamp with us. So yeah, there is a lot of reasons to come on board for a boot camp with us and break into the industry and not look back. So our boot camps, this is a bit of a brief overview there. We've got the accelerated intake, which is our 6-month boot camp, and our standard delivery, which is our 10-month boot camp. Okay, they both have the 4-week optional industry placement that occurs at the end, and they're both 100% virtual classroom, courses. So the timetable for the accelerated intake is there. We will go a little bit further into it shortly, but long story cut short, it is essentially like a full-time job in itself. You won't be able to work or have other commitments whilst doing this boot camp. It really is something you need to dedicate yourself to for 6 months and then walk out the other end as a developer. Our standard delivery, though, on the other hand, it is actually delivered outside of business hours and can be completed alongside a part-time, casual, or even full-time job if you're dedicated to it. So that one is designed for people who want to keep working while studying. We have support hubs available in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. So we've got campuses there. You can come in Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and study on campus if you need a space. And also by appointment, you can actually, get a bit of support face-to-face from our educators. But that support is also available through our Discord channels. Also you can get face-to-face virtual support from them too. So you don't have to ever come to campus if you don't want. The entire bootcamp is delivered virtually. The price there is just over $22,000. You can pay in monthly installments, or you can utilize a fee help government loan to defer payment if you're an Australian citizen or special category visa holder. And the accreditation is Higher Education Diploma of IT. That's the piece of paper that you're going to get at the end. So here's a bit more of a breakdown of the accelerated bootcamp there for you to have a look at. So you can see there live classes from 10 a.m. to 1:45. Sorry about that. Monday to Thursday. So it does take up a big chunk of that business, those business hours. And then you've also got the academic support available from 9 a.m. To 5 p.m. Monday to Saturday virtually, but then 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. You can go to campus as well. And by appointment, you can actually see someone from the academic team, face-to-face support. So outside of those live classes there as well, you'll see down here, 23 hours of recommended self-study that needs to be completed outside of those live classes. So you can fit that in wherever you want. So yeah, obviously the live classes plus the 23 hours of recommended self-study do take up a big chunk of your week. And that's what we don't recommend to try and attempt working while studying the accelerated bootcamp. Standard delivery is there, a little bit more simple. It's a 10-month bootcamp, so things are a little bit more flexible. You get your live classes for 2 hours on a Tuesday evening and 2 hours on a Thursday evening, and then you've got 4 hours on the Saturday. Okay, and then outside of that, you've got 13 hours of self-study to be completed, and that 13 hours can be fit in, wherever you want to fit it in. Cool. So here is the bootcamp breakdown. If you don't understand some of this jargon, that's totally fine. We teach our bootcamps entirely from the ground up. So you will learn full stack web development from the ground up. No prior knowledge needed. It's recommended to have a bit of a play with some coding online to get a bit of a taste to know what you're getting yourself into. But ultimately, you don't need to know anything apart from being able to use a computer, just the basics, and having a passion to learn. So term one is going to consist of HTML and CSS. You'll be building a web-based portfolio about yourself professionally. You'll be doing some Python programming, and you'll be building a terminal application. And then term two, you'll be using Python with Flask. So Python being the object-oriented language and Flask being the framework. And then you'll be working on some discrete maths, which is the sort of maths you need to write computer algorithms, all that sort of stuff. But don't stress about that. We might talk about that a little bit later. Deployment and also creating a full stack app in Flask. Term three, you're going to be touching on JavaScript using React.js and building a full stack web application for a real client. That's the big one at the end, a small group project. You'll be utilizing sort of all the skills that you've learned along the way. And then you've got the optional industry placement that occurs at the end. So it's a 4-week placement program. We advise that it's unpaid because we don't want to make any promises, but some of the partnering companies may actually, offer you a paid internship. In order to be eligible for the internship, you need to have a good attendance record. So turn up to the classes. We ask that you have a credit pass on your assessments, which is not difficult to get. And you also need to be able to conduct yourself in an interview situation. But that's really it. That's all you really need. These are a few companies that some of our grads are working at, and also some of the places that might take students on for industry placement. We have a diversity in tech scholarship. Okay, one of these is available per intake. Okay, so 50% off all course fees, and it's open to domestic students. It says there you can find more information on the website, which you absolutely can. In order to apply for the Diversity in Tech Scholarship, you need to first apply and be accepted into one of the coding boot camps, and then we'll actually send you a link to go ahead and apply for the Diversity in Tech Scholarship as well. Basically, you just need to showcase to us what sort of diversity you're going to be bringing to Coder Academy and what sort of diversity you're going to be bringing to, like, the tech industry across the board. Application process is super simple. You apply on the website, you complete enrollment, and you begin. Even when it comes, a big question is always, how do I apply for the government loan, all that sort of jazz. It's all tied in with our application process. So you don't have to worry about having to go and do research and do something else on your own. We'll guide you the whole way through the process, and it's pretty short, to be fair. Cool. Sonny Peterson. So we're going to get Sonny on board. He has done a lot of stuff before he became a developer. Look, he's worked in nightclubs. He's worked in the Navy. He has got a pet snake called Princess. He trained MMA for a little bit. This guy's out of control. Sonny, we'll get you on. Come on, Sonny. And we'll sort of kick off learning a bit more about him. G'day.
G'day.
Cool. Would you like me to flick across to the next page?
Sure. Yeah.
Too easy. I'll go off screen and I'll let you do your thing.
So as Dallas said, I came from a background in the Navy. I worked in nightclubs. I came from actually managing a hydraulic business. I haven't owned a computer in 10 years. I'm a very impulsive person, and I decided that this is what I wanted to do. And it was probably the best impulsiveness has ever turned out for me, because I really enjoy my job now. Much better than sitting under a tractor getting covered in hydraulic oil. I'll grab the next slide, Dallas. So a typical day now for me is a stand-up meeting at 8:15. I work from home for a company in Brisbane. I'm actually based out of Bundaberg. So we'll do a stand-up meeting and go through our tasks for the day using Trello. I will either work alone or as part of a team, depending on the job. I usually use VS Code. I work in TypeScript, SQL, Neo4j, Apollo, mostly JavaScript, with lots of overlays, so React and Node, all that sort of thing. We collaborate through GitHub and Git. So I do a little bit of pair programming here and there, using LiveShare, which is great, and we use Slack to communicate. When I've finished a job, log my progress on the card, get the next one, start again, basically. 7 hours workday, very flexible where I am. They will let you do just about anything as long as the work gets done. So next slide. So my development, personally, I started in my internship getting certified in Neo4j. I worked exclusively with Neo4j and Apollo, overlaying that to produce content for clients for a fair while. Then I asked to be part of a data restructure for our SQL tables. which led into getting a job with a coworker, fully redeveloping all of our apps, all of our Node and React apps. So now I've had a fair bit of exposure to basically all of our apps. So lots of different code languages. I've even done a bit of PHP. They're going to start me in Python, so I'm a bit jealous that you guys get to learn Python because I started in Ruby when I was at Coda. So at the moment, I'm just finishing off completely revamping every single app in our database. Also doing sort of DevOps work, changing all of that because we've restructured and normalized our old database. Definitely full stack, front end, back end, database, even DevOps. I feel like it's a huge learning curve from Coda, but that doesn't really taper off. So you're always going to be learning, and it makes every day interesting. Next slide, Dallas, please. So they asked me to give some tips on problem solving. My personal philosophy, I always start at the route when I'm trying to problem solve. It's where you even front end, back end, I always try and start at the route if I can, because that's where the data flow between your apps happens. Console logs, millions and millions of console logs. And in the picture here with the console logs, this is something I like to do, especially in the back end, is give them different colors and different sort of characters and that sort of thing, so you can tell one from the other. Network tab on the front end is always a very good friend, and Postman on the back end is always a really good friend. So yeah, they're my tips if you're just getting started with problem solving. All right, I think that's about me. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sonny. Good to hear. It sounds like your job is pretty complex, but you certainly are full stack, that's for sure. Cool. All right, we're going to flick across now to Stephen Smith. He's currently a full stack web developer at Swiftbox. He's a self-taught Python dev, which is pretty cool, and that's before he even came on board for Coder Academy. And look, this is Stephen. Thanks for coming on board.
Thanks for having me. I just want to check quickly, is my connection okay? Because I was a bit flaky there when I was listening to that one.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It got a little bit flaky for me as well, actually. I wasn't sure if it was me, but yeah, it did do a thing. But no, you clear as day.
All right, that's great. Yeah, that was a really cool presentation, Sonny. Went into a lot more detail than I'm about to go into, so hopefully you guys still get something from mine. But if you want to jump to the first slide there. I guess I'll quickly just say a bit about me. Similar to Sonny, I'm a career changer. So I've been a musician for over a decade. I've been playing sort of gigs and recording music and doing all that sort of stuff since I was a teenager. And I guess throughout my 20s, I sort of did a lot of different odd jobs when the music gigs dried up. So I've done retail, I've done hospitality, I even did a 2-year stint in construction just before I started at Coder Academy. So I've also done a lot of stuff. But as tends to happen with that sort of lifestyle, I kind of started craving something a bit more meaningful in my work. I wanted to do something that I could build towards and get better at and really challenge myself with. And I was lucky enough to find Coder Academy. My brother also did the course before me. He managed to get a full-time job as a web dev, and then I kind of was inspired by that, so I went down the same path. But yeah, before we get into a day in the life of SwiftFox developer, I'll just quickly tell you about SwiftFox. So I guess you could say our mission at SwiftFox is to build the best campaign software in the world. That's what we're doing. So campaign software is software for campaigning organizations. So that's anyone that might be running a campaign or trying to get some sort of message across or make some sort of positive change in the world. Those are our clients, and we build software to help them achieve their campaign goals. So the main thing is they can store all of their sort of contacts, data, or their members, if they're a membership organization, the data in our database. But then we also have these amazing tools so you can build email campaigns, text message campaigns, you can build forms. We've got a lot of internal sort of productivity stuff that the organization can use. So project tables and pipelines and tasks and all that sort of stuff. So my job's really fun because I get to work on all of those different features, and yeah, I get to sort of get thrown in the deep end and learn a whole lot of different technologies. So if we jump over to the next slide, before I get into the technology, one thing I wanted to point out is that SwiftFox has a lot of really clear values that they put on their website. But the biggest one that stood out for me is this idea of startup culture. And if you haven't been in the tech industry, you might wonder kind of what a startup is. That's totally cool. I didn't really know what a startup was either. And I guess it does mean a lot of different things to different people. But in this sense, we're a smaller company, but we're sort of growing and we have big ambitions. But because we're sort of a smaller team, we kind of all have to wear different hats. We have to kind of be multi-talented, be good at context switching, and get really hands-on, which has just been perfect for me and super fun. I didn't know that's what the sort of company I wanted to be at, as opposed to like a bigger sort of enterprise company or something. I didn't know that I wanted to do maybe work in a startup more, but as it turns out, I love it. It's definitely where I'm supposed to be. And also, I've listed some of the core company values there, but also there's something cool that comes along with that is the work from anywhere policy that we have, which is amazing. It means we can work in the office if we want, we can work from home if we want. A lot of my colleagues work interstate as well. But I actually like to do both. I like to go into the office a couple times a week, but that's just my personal preference. I like being able to meet people sort of face to face, see what they're working on. You know, you kind of bump into different teams in the office and you get a bit more context of what's happening in the company as a whole. And yeah, it just kind of really sparks some good conversations and you learn a lot about the business that you might not if you're just heads in the code all the time. But I also love working from home too. It's obviously amazing. I get to hang out with my pets all day. That's my cat Charlie there, sleeping on my keyboard. Sometimes he likes to swipe at my fingers and bite me, which is annoying, but looks like he's fast asleep there in that picture. It's also really convenient if you know you have like doctor's appointments or you're going to go to bed or something. Working from home can be really flexible. As Sonny said, SwiftFox is my company is the same. They really just want to make sure you're getting the work done, that you're supported and feel like you can get your tasks done. But in terms of actual hours, it's really flexible. So yeah, it's a really good culture at SwiftFox. And once you guys get out there and start looking for jobs, I'd definitely be paying attention to company culture. So we'll jump over to the next slide. So this is I guess the meaty stuff. Like, what does a typical day look like? It's actually quite boring when you put it like this in a slide. But from 9 a.m., I guess that's when my mind is most fresh and when I'm ready to tackle the day. So I quickly catch up on what I was working on yesterday. I check the sprint board and sort of organize my day around that, and I get stuck into coding. You also might not know what a sprint board is. That's totally fine. You'll learn about agile methodology and that sort of stuff in Coder Academy. Definitely pay attention to that stuff and learn that stuff because it's definitely used in the industry. But basically, sprint board is just a big board with your tasks as tickets. And the idea is to grab a ticket, start working on it, and once you're done, you close the ticket, or maybe it get it ready for testing or whatever the workflow is at your company. So we have a sprint board, and my main purpose each day is to grab a ticket, work on the ticket, and close it. Yes, I also had a little asterisk there. Except for Fridays, we do the Friday wrap. That's something we do every Friday, where the company jumps in a big team sort of video chat, and we share stuff that we've been working on that week, and it's a bit of show and tell, which is fun. But yeah, 9:45 we jump into stand-up. Stand-up is a pretty common concept across the industry. It's just a quick meeting where I think traditionally people stand up and talk about what you worked on yesterday, what you're going to work on today, and maybe any challenges you're facing or something like that. Just gives you a quick bit of context about what's happening in the development team as a whole. And then from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, I'm usually straight back into coding. I put there another asterisk. Coding may include writing code. It may include writing documentation. It probably will include Googling stuff, though these days I probably ask ChatGPT more than I Google. It might be asking for help in the drop-in. Oh, the drop-in is it's a video chat we have going all day in Teams, Microsoft Teams. So that's just this kind of ongoing conference call that anyone from the company can join, just like sort of drop into. You can have a chat to people, you can ask people questions. It's kind of like a virtual office that we have going all day, and it works really well because we can kind of use it to collaborate as if we were there in person. Yeah, you might be pair programming, you might be helping others debug their code, but you should also be taking regular breaks as well. Sometimes you'll get stuck in a bug and you'll be going down a bit of a rabbit hole, and sometimes the best thing to do is get up, walk around, and get your head straight, and then sit back down. You'll probably come up with the answer in a split second. So 1 o'clock, I usually take lunch. If I'm at home, that's a good opportunity to walk the dog, get some sunshine, and then code for the rest of the day. Yeah, I'm a software engineer. Mostly what I do is coding. We try not to have too many meetings at our company. It's a great policy. Obviously, sometimes you have to have meetings, but yeah, I try to keep myself as meeting free as possible. So let's jump over to the last slide. Oh yeah, just quickly wanted to mention technology. Don't want to overload anyone because you haven't really probably not learned a lot at this stage. That's fine. I use some of the skills I learned at Code Academy, like, I use all the skills I learned at Code Academy, but only some of the technologies I still use, which is React is the main one. You'll be learning JavaScript, I believe. TypeScript is a lot like JavaScript. It's just a little bit more added on top. And that wasn't too hard to pick up after the course. I use GraphQL as well. I've been doing a lot of work in Storybook. That's not really like a language or a framework. It's just a really cool place to build components and document your components. In the back end, I use Node.js. We did learn that one in my course. But more recently, I've also been picking up .NET, that framework as well. And along with that, you learn a bit of C# as well. So I've been doing a C# course as well. The main thing is that I just haven't stopped learning since Coder Academy, and that's probably to be expected, but that's also what makes the job fun and keeps you challenged. I've worked on a lot of features so far. First one I worked on was P2P messages. So that's instant messaging between our users and mobile phones, which was really fun to work on. And actually, the last assignment I did at Code Academy was an instant messaging app. So I was able to take some of those skills that I learned in my last assignment and directly apply them to my first feature I worked on at SwiftFox, which is awesome. I also did help do like a design overhaul for emails. I did a lot of front-end work on that. Most recently, I've been building a dynamic documents generator. So that also involved building a Word plugin. So I was actually building an application inside of Microsoft Word, as well as a part that goes along with it in SwiftFox. And also just been helping to get the design system a little bit of a design overhaul. So that's building components in Storybook. But yeah, I've probably gone over my 8 minutes, so I'll leave it at that.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephen. That was great. And honestly, yeah, you really do learn to, sink or swim when it comes to startups. And it sounds like you're thriving there at SwiftFox, which is fantastic. And I do have to, honorable mention to that Keychron keyboard. I have the same one. So twins. Keychron is not sponsoring this video. Cool. So we'll jump across now. So look, you can join us through this QR code to come and check out the next webinar. It's going to be with our partnerships team. It's going to be really cool. A bit of an interview there. Learn a lot more about the process. When it comes to our industry placements in term 3, it's going to be pretty coolio. So go ahead and check that one out. If you can, if you're available, it's going to be great. Henry's going to be there, who is our partnerships manager. And then look, this is us. That's me and that's Lee. If you haven't already, feel free to reach out on our details there. We might also throw them into the chat shortly. But yeah, look, we'll go ahead and bring everyone back on for a bit of a chat. I know I know that the webinar chat was sort of, bumping along there, so should be pretty cool. And when Lee jumps on, hey.
Hello. I'm just going to stick a couple of questions into our question collection here.
Question collection.
my little kit of questions that I have.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go.
Cool.
So
cool.
Okay, cool. A couple of things. A couple of questions that I actually had to begin with. Sonny, you spoke about that your work is quite flexible. Can you speak a bit more to what that actually looks like for you as far as your work hours each week? Like, when do you actually get everything done?
I usually don't have a hard and fast rule, which is great for me. It's similar to what Stephen explained. We can go into the office, we can work from home, doesn't really matter. So I sometimes take trips down to Brisbane and stay for the week and work out of the office for the week. When I'm in the office, I will usually get my work done within business hours, but when I'm at home, it really does vary depending on what's going on for the day, and young kids having tantrums and all those fun family things. So yeah, it is one of the great things about this job is the flexibility. And yes, sometimes I'll get my work done in the morning, sometimes I'll get it done in the afternoon, sometimes I'll even get it done when the kids are in bed after dinner if everything's gone insane on the
It's so attractive. I mean, as someone who's got a small child themselves, and I know Dallas as well does, it's so appealing to be able to sort of fit your work around your life in that kind of way. And we do speak to a lot of people who are with young families as well, and kind of wondering if this is the route that they'd like to go down, and sort of wondering about how flexible it actually is. So that's really great to know, actually. This is an interesting question. This one is from Kasun, and it's for both of you guys, Sonny and Stephen. Sorry, Dallas, you're not included in that. But just asking, what was the impact of AI on you as graduates of the bootcamp?
Do you want to go first, Stephen? Or
Yeah, sure. Look, I guess when I was graduating, ChatGPT had just come out, and so it wasn't as in the forefront of everyone's mind. I was certainly thinking about it while I was doing the course, and I had the is AI going to take our jobs sort of fear as well. Since actually starting working in the industry, that fear has gone way down. Still there a little bit, but not really. I use AI very regularly, but it's just it kind of, for me, it's just a really quicker version of Googling when I'm debugging something and I'm Googling questions. It's just a quicker version of that. Some of the more powerful tools, some of the more powerful sort of large language models that have been trained on code are really good at also just kind of reading your code and helping you out. I don't put any company code through those tools because we're not really allowed to. But it can help you out if you give it some sort of examples and stuff. It can be a really good sort of pair programming session with an AI. It's amazing. But also as a company, we're kind of just embracing AI. So we are building AI into our features. And so with that comes an opportunity to sort of, in my own career, learn as much as I can about AI so I can actually be implementing a lot of these AI features as well. So for me, it's just been really exciting, is probably the only impact it's had on my career so far.
And for you, Sonny, a similar view?
Yeah, similar view. It's a tool. It's a great tool at the moment. It's still a long way off replacing coders, I believe. It is a great tool for coders. It's basically Stack Overflow 2.0. But yeah, I think it's it can be good, and it can spit out utter garbage sometimes. So you really just have to take it with a pinch of salt. And like sometimes I'll still if I'm having troubles, I'll still just go back to Stack Overflow, because sometimes AI is a little bit flaky still. So yeah,
And
either that or you just end up figuring it out yourself. And yeah. Yeah.
Should our new students be looking to use Chat GPT for help at all, or is that a bad idea?
For me, I don't use it. I try not to use it myself, unless I really just want to get it out quickly, and I have a bug that I am just having trouble with, which is not often, but I try to use my own brain rather than, a fake one. It doesn't always work. Obviously, if you know anything about coding, you know that it's a lot. It can be measured in WTFs per minute. So yeah. So
yeah, I think it's a bit of a balance. I definitely think there's something in probably learning these tools, just because they are going to be a big part of the industry. So don't shy away from them too much. But it's also a balance. Learning to debug is one of the best things you can learn, because the less time you can spend debugging and just actually finding the solution, and a lot of that comes along with learning debugging tools as well. I know it took me a long time before it clicked that I actually just needed to learn how to use the VS Code debugger better. Because once you get better at stepping through your code and actually finding, where issues are, your workflow is just going to increase amazingly. So 100% what Sonny was saying, like, it's still good to use your own brain just for the purpose of understanding how to be good at debugging. And you probably even get better at sort of sensing where issues are coming from. But also don't be scared of using these tools, because I think it's just going to be a part of the industry from now on. So
yeah, for sure. I think most devs that I speak to are all about, leaning into those AI tools now, and just using them to be better at their jobs, but also not letting them do their jobs. But and also, how many plugins are there for VS Code? It's just like endless. There's just so much.
I'm just going to skip to another question that I think ties in a little bit with what we've just sort of been speaking about. But Hernan has asked, he basically said, I've got friends, I've heard from a couple of friends with coding knowledge that realistically, after a bit of experience, they don't spend too much time coding anymore. Is it true? If so, how would a normal coder work day look? I guess, how much of your day are you actually doing the coding, and how much of your day are you doing other things? What would be the breakdown of that? I know you guys went through it a bit before, but can you give just like a percentage kind of thing?
I reckon about 60% of my time is spent coding. The rest is spent on housekeeping sort of thing.
Yeah.
Trello cards and meetings and that sort of stuff. So
yeah. Okay. Similar for you, Stephen?
yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what Hanan's friends like. Maybe they're going down different sort of career paths, going down team lead or like sort of management. There's definitely sort of paths you can go down where you'll get less hands-on and more into actually managing teams of developers, where you still need to understand code, but your day-to-day job will probably become more just managing people and fixing problems, those sorts of things. As a junior developer, a software engineer is my main thing. I probably code 70-80% of the day. Like, I code a lot. But it also depends on what feature I'm working on. Some features I have to plan out, I have to do a lot of planning and a lot of documentation as well. So
I don't want to put the tools down. I don't know about you, Stephen. I don't want to go into management too quick. I enjoy it too much.
it is fun. It is fun coding, yeah.
Well, there you go. So really, I mean, that's just the experience of Stephen and Sonny at this point. But I mean, that percentage could really fluctuate dramatically, I imagine, based on where you see yourself within the structure of the company as well, right? Okay. So for each of you guys, the question, have you ever felt disadvantaged not having completed a bachelor's degree? You took our course, which is a diploma in IT. and an industry placement at the end. Has it ever sort of struck you that you might be disadvantaged by not having that bachelor's of computer science?
I mean, for me, it was definitely something I thought about when I was considering signing up to Coder and the whole way through the course. It was definitely on my mind, but from my experience, it hasn't had an effect. Obviously, it hasn't had an effect on me getting a job. It hasn't. I don't think it's had an effect on me, my performance in my work either. But also, I'd just like to make the point that like you can get as much as you want out of Coder Academy. I took the 10-month course because not because I wanted an easy ride and only wanted to work 3 days a week. It's because I wanted to explore each topic further and really delve into each thing and sort of learn around the subject. So, you know, like you can cram as much learning into your course as you want. And, you know, like I definitely did not have, I haven't felt disadvantaged from not having a bachelor at all.
Yeah, there's people that I sort of came in just behind at my company or just ahead of that got degrees, and every single one of them said, I wish I did Coder instead of a degree. So yeah, I would agree with Stephen. I did the 6-month course because I had a very young baby, and I didn't have the time to muck around. If I wanted to change careers, I had to do it quickly. So I did 6 months, but I really threw myself into it. I did about, some days I was doing, 16 hours a day if I felt like I didn't have the subject down in my head. You get as much out as you put in. And it just happened that I really enjoyed the subject matter, so it didn't really feel like work. But yeah, you get out of it what you put in, and there's the only advantage that a 4-year degree would have over Coder is that you have more time for concepts to sink in. I don't think any of the content of the course of Coder is irrelevant. It is bang on, and it gets you ready. It's just, do you want to spend 4 years, or do you want to? Yeah, sometimes you can get concepts in if you spend long enough, but
I also think that with any course that you study, you've got the capacity to go down the very practical side of things or the theoretical side. And if theory and that side of things is interesting to you, then a bachelor's would be amazing. Like, I think it is useful. There are definitely things that you could do with it that you couldn't do with, a diploma from Coder, but Coder's for people who really want to, roll their sleeves up and actually do the coding. So yeah, if you're interested, guys, in the practical side of things, getting hundreds and hundreds of hours of coding activity under your belt before you move into industry, then that's what you'd be, that's why you would join us. It's one of the main reasons. Dallas, you've been sitting there without a question for a while, so I'm going to give you a question.
All right. Before I ask that question, I was just going to say as well, I do agree with even if sometimes even if you do have all of the time for that 6 months to jump on board for the accelerated intake, like Stephen shows the standard delivery, and it's funny because what you'll end up doing is you'll be doing the boot camp, and then you'll also in your head have all these little side projects you want to do, and I feel like you want to work on your side projects as well, so you need a little bit more time. And then as you're learning new concepts, you want to adapt those new concepts to the side projects you've got going at the same time. And so that's how you end up actually filling out all that time. So you kind of could do the standard delivery bootcamp and really not have too much going on outside of that, but still end up, getting so much, value out of it as well. So I definitely agree of that model if it's available to you. But yeah, cool. Happy to answer a question.
Well, Georgia has asked, is the course material relevant worldwide? Say, if I were moving overseas, America specifically, would I be able to take what I learned from here and use it elsewhere?
Cool. Is that for me?
Yeah, it's for you.
Yeah, cool. Georgia, absolutely. So, yeah, look, coding languages are universal. What I will say is like, coding languages are all based off of the English language. So provided you understand the English language very well, you should be fine. The only difference you're really going to find with moving to different countries is really going to be, the notes written on that code. So for example, if, you're in a country that is not English speaking, like not a native English speaking country, and English isn't a massive thing, you might find that the notes in the code from the developers are going to be in a different language. So you may not be able to read that unless you know that language as well. But otherwise, yeah, you can absolutely take these skills anywhere all over the world. Plenty of, developers gain employment in the US after doing our boot camps. We partner with companies that have offices all over the world. So you might come on board for an internship in one office here, gain employment, and then end up, moving to the US or the UK and being a developer over there. Like it's definitely a realistic thing to be able to, travel and use this skill set worldwide.
Thank you, Dallas.
Cool.
Greta has asked, do we know approximately what percentage of successful graduates started the course with zero tech or coding experience? I do not have statistics on this, but Sonny looks like he wants to answer.
I've just put my hand up because I was one of those. Yeah.
We have a representative.
Like I said, I hadn't touched a computer I hadn't owned a computer in 10 years. It was just impulse that that made me start the course. And yeah, 6 months later, I was working for a tech company. So yeah, it's absolutely doable. Absolutely doable. You just gotta, especially the instructors are really great, especially the ones that I had. They put in so much time. If you ask them for something, they will help you. So I had a lot to learn. I learned a lot, but I felt supported pretty much the whole time. So,
well, you heard it here first, people.
There we go.
To be honest, yeah, look, I think most people, right? Like most people I speak to come on board without any prior experience in coding.
I'll also say that, like, as someone who had been teaching myself Python for about 6 months and had dabbled in a bit of programming, but there's this kind of great equalizer around term 2 where I think we're all on the same page anyway. Because even if you have a little bit of coding, you end up, by term 2, I was about at the same place as everyone else.
Yeah, you run out of knowledge real quick. You think you know so much, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I don't know anything.
You find out how much you don't know.
Yeah.
Having said that, we can certainly drop some free links to free tutorials in the chat if you're interested in having a look and a play. And just, I think it is important, even if you've never studied formally, you've never done even any free courses or anything, you need to actually know before you make this enormous investment in time and money. You need to know if it's for you. So do play, go and check it out. If it's exciting for you and you feel really curious and like, I need to problem solve and it's amazing, then that's a great start. If you've literally never ever seen any of this or done anything at all before at all, then do it. Like, you have plenty of time. We have like 6 weeks or so until our next course starts. So thank you muchly. Stephen, a question for you. Where is it? From Tom. Tom asks, did Stephen do his industry placement at Swift Fox?
No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't do an industry placement. I ended up applying for jobs at the same time I was looking for an industry placement, and just ended up getting a job interview with Swift Fox, and they hired me. And by complete coincidence, they also hired Hunter Adams from my cohort as well. So I ended up working alongside, and still work alongside a student who I did the course with. Quite complete. Yeah, we didn't even know we were both applying for the same job. We found out the day that we got the offer that we had both been accepted. So there you go.
Awesome. And yeah, like, if you didn't have the placement and you went looking for jobs off your own back as well, it's important to know that the diploma in itself from us has a great reputation attached to it. You know, you can take that with you, pop it under your arm and go and look for jobs off your own back if that's what you want to do. Okay. Industry placements are a separate thing. You do your diploma and then you have the option to take on this placement of 4 weeks. So you don't have to do this. You can just complete the course if you want to. And some people will find work during the course. Some will be poached by industry partners to go and work for them. There's different ways that this can roll for you. But I guess the one thing in common for everyone is that they're still putting in all the effort. Stephen, I guess, knew that he had the, that you had the skills necessary to go and actually be successful in those roles. You had
I
that
wouldn't say I
confidence.
didn't know. No, I was not confident, but
Oh, come on. Did you just pretend that you
no,
were?
I
And
felt
you
like,
were like,
I guess I felt that I'd learned a lot, but I'm going to be honest, it's still nerve-wracking going for your first job in tech, and I think it just will be. But you just got to do it. Just got to put in your application. It's the only way.
that's lovely. Even if you're really nervous and scared and have no confidence, just get out there and do it.
Imposter
All right.
syndrome is real, and it's
Oh,
it'll be real
yeah.
through the course, and it'll be real in your job in like 5 years' time. It's just a thing that happens to every single person. You just have to remember that it's happening to everyone.
So Tanya has asked us, Dallas, are the majority of students who undertake the 10-month course also working full-time? Again, I don't really have stats on this, but I'm going to say the majority probably are working full-time, and then a smaller group of people have got reduced work hours, and an even smaller group than that are not working. Would you reckon that's a fair
Yeah, for sure,
call?
for sure. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, a big portion are definitely working full time, 9 to 5 roles, and then yeah, you might have a good portion of people maybe working in hospitality that might have a mix of day and night shifts, but try to tailor them to like sort of not happen, um, during the live classes they need to attend, that sort of thing. Yeah, but yeah, like a lot of people are working a lot because yeah, look, let's be honest. It's a boot camp. They're looking to change career, but they're also not looking to take a massive pay cut while studying. That's the whole idea of joining the standard delivery. So you want to be able to maintain your workload and your money, for that 10 months that you're studying, and then move into an industry where you're potentially going to get more. So yeah, I would say most people are working full time while studying, and it can be done. You just need to be dedicated to it. That's it. Good time management, and know what you're getting yourself into, and just be prepared.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of links to, we've had another question along the same lines from Brad. And Brad says, is it still realistic to work a full-time 38-hour week, even with the 10-month course? Or would it be more worthwhile dropping to, say, 30 hours a work week to help keep up or fully understand the topics each week? I think like the main thing with being successful in this course is being really diligent about when and how you actually approach your studies, to be honest. It seems like the people who are working full-time and they complete the course and they've got a family, they do the coding at the same time each week. They do it in chunks in the morning, they do it on the weekend, but it's the same kind of time each week that they actually do it. So they're just approaching it like it is their full-time job in a way. Where possible, if you've got a really nice chilled out kind of boss who is okay with you reducing your hours, absolutely give it a go. Why not drop down a day and spend that day coding? If that's a possibility for you, that's a really great move. Yeah.
If I was you, Brad, and you had the chance to drop some hours to do more coding, I would do it. Drop as many as I could.
There you go. From the man who did it. He's done it. He's been there and done it. He's out the other side. There we go.
Drop it to 0, retire.
And then one last question that I have. Oh no, I think 2 more, sorry. Hernan is asking, is there a chance to meet other course takers? Thinking about a group study in regards of similar interests, did Sonny or Stephen meet other coders in their course? So I'm thinking Hernan means, did you actually get to know the other people that you were doing your course with? Was there opportunity for you to meet up and discuss interests, etc.?
So when I was going through, there was pretty heavy lockdowns going on still. So I didn't get to meet a lot of people in person. Although we did a lot of we had some study groups, and there's always a chill out area after classes finish that you can talk to people and ask coding questions and do all that sort of thing. Usually the teacher's aide will run that, and they'll be there to help you as well. The homework chill rooms are great. That's where I got a lot of help from. So yes, you do get to talk to people from the class. And I'm pretty sure you still, correct me if I'm wrong, but you still got a chance to go down on campus, or did you guys get rid of that?
We've got the CODA student hubs in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, which have an educator manning them, answering questions to our CODA students across Australia, Monday to Saturday. And appointment is, you can make appointments to check in with them and have a face-to-face if you want to do that as well. Yeah, so that's the capacity of our on-campus kind of scope at the moment.
Yeah, I still talk to a lot of people from my intake, put it that way.
Yeah, I made a couple of good friends that I still keep in touch with, and yeah, still following their careers. We still meet up every now and then, get ramen and talk about code. So there's definitely chances to make connections with people. I would go into the sport hub as much as I could and just hang out with others. Also, I like going on to code and meetups. There's a lot of programming meetups in Melbourne as well. And if you're in Melbourne, I'm sure there's a lot in Sydney and Brisbane as well. But I like to go along to those, even if you're still learning, you're still new programming. It's really good just getting along and just hearing other people talk about code and talking to others about code. It just gets you a bit more comfortable and ready to get into the industry. So I recommend it.
Hackathons, yeah, definitely.
Hackathons, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they still exist. So we still participate in hackathons as well. So that's the thing that everyone who jumps on board will get to experience. And yeah, look, we have our Discord servers, set up for each intake, and everyone can have a chat there and meet people. We also, we have like mentors come in. So people from industry are going to come out of a bit of a chat every couple of weeks. And they're happy to network. And obviously the networking events that, Stephen's talking about, we do encourage those as well. And the partnerships team are always throwing links to new meetups and that sort of thing in the Discord channel. So like plenty of opportunity to meet people and network, look virtually and in real life too. So yeah, for sure.
And we're almost out of time, and we have one final question from Kasun. And I think it's really for all of us, because Sonny and Stephen, you're going to have a network of people and you'll know where they're working and how they're working and where they're working from. Dallas and I have maybe less reach in that way. Do you guys see any developers working in the US remotely from Australia? Does that mean working in Australia for a US company? Is that how I'm reading it? I think that might be what it means.
One of my work colleagues has a friend that they went to uni with that is working for a US company from Australia. He's planning on getting his visa to go and live there, but at the moment he's working from here. I think the wages are slightly better here, the starting wages anyway. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know a couple of people. I know one person who works for MongoDB. I know they're US based, but they have offices in Australia. I didn't actually realize how many of those big US tech companies actually do have offices in Australia as well. I think a lot of them are in Sydney. There's like Salesforce and Mongo and a bunch of those guys, AWS and all that sort of stuff. So there are actually a lot of US companies that have offices here. And yeah, I know a few people that work for them.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think I did touch on it earlier. Look, there's because that we have a lot of partnering companies like, under our belt as well, for industry placements. And look, there are a bunch of, companies here that have offices across the world, and some of them are in the US. And obviously, like Stephen just said, US companies that have offices in Australia. So it's, it's definitely a thing for sure. But yeah, I think the money's a little bit better in Australia. And it would seem that the education is pretty damn good as well. So yeah, I guess, probably try and get a job here first, save up some cash, and then move to the US and get a job over here remotely from there.
I know as well that we've spoken to other graduates, you know, a couple of years back where they were part of teams that had offices in Canada and the Philippines and all over. So yeah, I guess there's, depending on the size and the, you know, scope of the company, you could Hanan, we'll have to flick the application form in there for you. So yeah, you could end up working overseas. I mean, there's a possibility, right? Yeah, but as Dallas said, definitely start here in your own backyard. All right, people. I think that brings us to 7 o'clock, which means that my dinner has probably just arrived. I don't know what you guys are all doing for dinner. Yeah, Dallas?
Well, look, it's been beautiful. My name's Dallas, and I do coding things like this. Please reach out to us. We're keen for a chat. Thank you so much to Stephen and Sonny. It's been fantastic having you guys on. And thank you to Lee for, you know, coming and doing your thing too. It's been great. We look forward to hearing from everyone really soon and seeing those applications roll in, because you obviously know now just how good these boot camps are. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.